Hi, I'm Travis.
And I'm Ray.
But
Oh, you still want to talk about it?
we can bring up the logos. Your problem with the logo.
Oh, my problem is it just looks horrible.
Yeah.
And I think it was Comic Alliance had a guy break it down, and he said, well, it's basically because it relies on more than just negative space on positive space, which makes it hard to reproduce.
Yeah. This is the DC logo for people who don't know. And what's interesting is I didn't realize this until I had brought my comics. But the thing about is, for example, here's Marvel's, and Marvel's does, I think, a good job with their logo. I mean, it doesn't take up a whole lot of room, but it's automatically recognizable. You know, Marvel. I mean,
And they've had that for over a decade.
Yeah, and they've
probably 20 years.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things, and you know, it's like with the film logo too. I mean, everyone kind of, it's like, this is Marvel. You know, it's a thing with a product, any product, is you need to have something that's automatically recognizable. And I mean, look at Image. Besides the 20 that they have, you know, everyone knows that little black eye.
Well, the 20's doing that's good. They're showing
Yeah,
it. But yeah, it's the eye.
It's the little black eye. You know, everyone, and the perfect example is, you know, with Dark Horse. As long as I've read Dark Horse, that logo's pretty much stayed stagnant, and I can always go, that's Dark Horse.
Positive space on negative space, easily identified, can do it anywhere.
Exactly.
One really good example of that, the logo for recyclable stuff. Negative space on positive space, easily recognizable.
Everyone knows it.
You could stick that up anywhere, and it would be good.
And people would know.
It's almost like DC has forgotten good graphic design, frankly, and that was the argument that this guy made.
No, and I know exactly what you mean. It's something where, you know, when people look at Watchmen, they know the smiley face with the drop of blood. You know, you look at Superman's S. You know, you look at Batman, the bat signal. You look at all these different logos out there. You know, it's ones that are just ingrained in your head.
The reason why this came up was I don't know why I thought this would be a hard buy. The second volume of Secret Society of Supervillains.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be a hard buy, so I pre-ordered this thing 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got it in the mail, and I'm looking at it, and they replaced the old bullet, which was a circle that had DC inside. We don't have. It's too bad. You see, I would have brought an example of this. They replaced that with the new logo, which is this. And it just looked, especially...
It looked out of place.
It looked out of place, especially on a cover where everything was very dynamic. There was no subtle tones, because this was a 1970s comic.
Yeah.
There's no subtlety. So putting a subtle design on a not-so-subtle comic book just looked silly.
And it just, you know, and I mean, you know, I can kind of understand, you know, I don't like it, but, I mean, I can get it with comics now. It bothers me when they do reprints of older books, or books that... And then they slap on that new logo, and it's like, that's not the DC logo of then. That's not the DC logo that you got.
And the reason why we won't go back to what's known as the bullet, the circle with the DC inside, is because at some point somebody had a problem with them switching away from the original DC logo that was just an up and down DC with the national periodicals printed over and above it. And that's what they used in the 60s.
Yeah.
Then they shifted away to the new one. And so then, of course, I was offended when they switched away from that great bullet to the swirl. And then from the swirl, they went to, what are we calling this?
The peel. I call it the peel. Like that.
To the peel. So, no, they're not going to go backwards. And they're not going to decline. And I'm all in favor of not declining.
Yeah.
But boy, that thing really looks bad.
It looks out of place, especially when you put it next to some older DC titles. It doesn't look like something that...
looks out of place when you put it next to other comic books.
It doesn't look like it
You put it next to the boys, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look like it fits. And I think that would be something interesting for next time we need to come up with a new DC logo.
You know, and I'm looking over there at Comic Book Inc. logo, which you guys have on the table right there.
Mm-hmm.
Comic Book Inc. That's a good logo.
Everyone knows the Comic Book Inc. logo.
And it's well designed.
Yeah.
It's positive space on negative space, or negative space on positive space, depending on where it's sitting.
Yeah, and people understand and people understand Comic Book Inc.'s logo. And Comic Book Inc. has been around for a while, and it's, you know, as far as I know, I mean, it's had the same logo So I mean, it's been one of those ones that's been a good static logo that's automatically recognizable, even if it's just the tiniest little circle. I can automatically recognize it, like on a Lakewood Playhouse poster when it's something that John's involved in, and I just see the little circle and the little complicated circle, and I can automatically tell that's complicated.
So my challenge was that maybe next week we could all come up with different designs for the new DC logo.
Yeah, and I think that'd be something really interesting.